Welcome to program-wide Positive Behavior Supports webinar called Saving Your Sanity Using Positive Behavior Supports. Our program, which is based out of the University of South Florida, provides training and technical assistance to teachers and programs in Hillsborough County to implement the pyramid model framework to promote positive social, emotional, and behavioral outcomes for our youngest children. The pyramid model does focus on promotion, prevention, and intervention to successfully support young children, but this webinar today will largely focus on prevention strategies for families to use at home. And we're going to discuss some practical strategies to help anticipate and prevent some of those challenging behaviors we might be seeing children engaging in during these uncertain times. All of the resources that we discuss will be housed in the live binder where the recording of this webinar is also housed. We always like to make sure that we thank our funders, the Children's Board of Hillsborough County, who does fund the program-wide Positive Behavior Support Project out of USF.
The first thing we want to share is thinking about how to stay calm during these difficult times, because we know they are difficult and all of our emotions are running high. Ours are running high, the children's are as well, and undoubtedly we're going to have some times where our children are maybe pushing our buttons a little bit, and we need to be prepared for that, as prepared as we can. One of the things that will be a resource in our live binder is this infographic here. It talks about just ways that you can calm yourself. There's some examples you can see, but you may have your own way of calming yourself when a situation arises that is challenging with your child. And then you want to reflect on how your child may be feeling, how you may be feeling. And then eventually when you're ready and your child is ready, just reconnecting with your child and seeing if you can help him or her through a difficult activity or situation that they may be facing. The important part is here too is to continue to take care of yourself so that you can be ready to take care of your child. So we're going to go through some tips for prevention, and these tips are really mirror the pyramid model, which we use in the classroom. We use the pyramid model practices. So these are very similar things that some of your children might be familiar with, or the teachers that your children are working with. Nurturing relationships, predictable routines, consistent expectations, planning for transitions, and offering choice. We're going to touch on each of those prevention strategies during this time together. So first and foremost, we want to make sure we're having those connections with our children. It goes to back to that nurturing relationships piece. We want to make sure we have time daily to connect with them, and it can be simple. It can be singing songs or reading a favorite book, or even just a hug can really be a powerful way to connect with your child. Another thing that is important right now is to check in with your child and how they're feeling and how you're feeling, and really validating how they're feeling. If they are telling you, I'm scared, ask them, well, why are you scared? And talk to them about ways that they might be able to handle those feelings. And it's okay to be scared, and maybe mommy and daddy are scared too, and talking about that, or sad, missing their friends at school because they're not in school right now, just like the grown-up that's with them might miss their work family. Also consider some other ways you can connect with family members you might not be able to see in person right now, or even teachers if they're available. You could possibly do a Zoom meeting with them, or maybe FaceTime, or even just an email just to check in with them. Those are going to be ways that your child will feel really loved and safe. This is an example of something we will have in our resource folder. It is a feelings chart, and it's a great visual to offer your child on talking about their feelings and being able to identify how they're feeling. And again, I encourage you as a parent, grandparent, whoever may be caring for the child at this time, to really demonstrate how you're feeling as well and talk through those feelings. These are some resources that are available. If you haven't heard, Audible is providing free books for kids right now, free listening for kids right now, and there's lots of different stories available. Vroom is a great app for families. It can be customized to your child, and it just gives you tips of things you can do within your daily routine. Things like at bath time, what you can do to talk to your child and connect with your child. Again, back to connecting with your child and making sure you're there with them and present as you can be. Also, Hillsborough County Library System has a variety of resources available online because they are not open right now, but they have tumble books that are accessible, and it's basically an animated book that you can look at with your child on the computer. But they also have some stories that are read by librarians there as well. So there's a lot of great stuff on there. So check out the resources that are available right now and free to you. Again, thinking about the nurturing relationships we want to continue with our children, it's important to have a space where your child can go when they're feeling overwhelmed, feeling overexcited, maybe feeling sad. It really doesn't matter what feeling they're having, just somewhere where they can go to feel safe. It's not a bad idea for you to have somewhere to go, even if it's a common space that you all share, or it might be a separate space, but you can put things in there that are calming and cozy for you and your child. Also, during the time where you might want to be able to use this space, you can show your child some breathing techniques, just how you do them and how they help you to feel calm. There's also some websites and apps that we're going to share a little bit later that are going to really specifically target mindful practices like meditation. You can do something as simple as making a calming jar. I like this idea because these are things that most of us have, or if we don't have them, they're easy to get. At the grocery store, we know that those are still essential places we can go, but an empty water bottle, glitter glue, and water is really all you need to make this calming jar. At the end, it says to super glue or hot glue. If you don't have that ability, you can just maybe wind some packing tape around, something to secure it so that it can't be opened. But that's a really fun, easy thing to do with your child. And then you could also put that calming jar or calming bottle in the space that you might create for your child to go and calm their body. Some free apps that I just want to point out. Breathe, Think, Do, Sesame is a great one. It actually demonstrates some belly breathing, and also the cute characters of Sesame Street are on there, so it's very appealing to young children. Breathing Bubbles is another app that's free, and it just talks about putting your worries into a bubble and watching the bubble go away and pop. Stop, Breathe, and Think Kids has some nice visual mindful practices that take your children through like a little story or a way to help them breathe deeper and kind of let go of their thoughts. So those are just some free apps that you might want to check out all the time, but especially during this really challenging time that we're facing. These are some examples of classroom cozy spots that your child might see something like this in their classroom, where again, they can go in their classroom when they're having a time of just feeling overwhelmed or overexcited or sad or angry, whatever the emotion may be. They can go and just kind of chill out in this little spot and be comforted by some things that they see, things that they can touch, and maybe even breathing on a pinwheel or shaking that calming jar like we showed in the last picture that you can create at home. So these are just some ways that the classrooms create cozy spots. This is an example of a cozy spot at home and how simple it can be. In the first picture, you see a picture of a rocking chair kind of in the corner area, and it looks like it could be easily transformed into a cozy spot. And in the second picture, you see some pillows, stuffed animals, even a blanket. It can be that simple, someplace that your child and you can escape to when you're feeling overwhelmed. So another thing we want to consider, back to those tips we were looking at the beginning, just those prevention techniques, we want to provide as much predictability as possible for our children in these times, knowing that it's okay if it doesn't go perfectly, but if we have a plan in place and we tell them that plan and maybe even show them that plan, it will be more likely that the plan is followed. So setting up some expectations at home by using positive language is really recommended for young children, telling them what you want them to do. Put away your toys, as opposed to don't leave a mess. So put away your toys tells them what you want them to do. Talk to your child about how his or her day may look, and you may even have a very simple schedule that we're going to show you in a few minutes of what visually their day might look like. But we want to keep it simple, and we want to make sure that we keep that structure in place, like the mealtime and the bedtime, and even if you have a nap time routine, we want to make sure we try to stick to that as much as we can. Again, we know it's not a perfect situation, and there will be times when it doesn't work out perfectly. Also, just thinking with young children how at school they have blocks of time during the day where they get to be very active, but then they switch to another activity. That's something you might want to consider at home as well, just keeping blocks of times for certain activities like art, maybe even a reading time or a quiet time. Be sure to get outside and help your child be active. And if you stay active too and get outside, it really changes your mindset as well. Setting aside some quiet time is really important, and getting your child to be able to practice that is very, very restorative actually during the day. And just to continue those daily rituals that you love as a family is really crucial right now. Just those familiar routines that your child has with you. That might look different for all families, but singing a lullaby, or if you all eat together in one spot, eating together, just keep those rituals going so things are as predictable as possible for your child. Here's an example of a schedule. You can see in the picture with a little boy, they're actual clip art pictures, and it's posted in like a pocket chart. That's really nice and creative. Here's another example on the right side of, again, using some clip art with some actual check boxes. These are just examples. It doesn't have to be fancy like this. You can really draw your own pictures. I think you could even use sticky notes and do this same kind of idea, and they could peel off the sticky note when something is done or turn it over. You can come up with your own creative way, but this is just showing you an example of how you can make it a little more visual for your child, because we know young children really need those visual supports. Here's some examples of expectations at home. In the sites that we're working with, they have expectations within the school site. So we encourage you to have some expectations at home as well. During this time, be helpful and be respectful would be two great expectations that you might have at your house. And you can see what are some examples of what be helpful looks like and what respectful looks like. So cleaning up your toys, This one at the bottom, play quietly when mom or dad are working, are definitely ways to be helpful right now. Being respectful, using your listening ears. That's a very common phrase in the classroom, so that might work nicely to use at home as well. So just keeping in mind that you can have expectations at home as well as they do at school. Using a timer for different activities from going from one activity to another is what we call transitions. Using a timer is really, really helpful to help your child understand when an activity is ending. So if they are having a really, really fun time playing with their train and it's almost time for dinner and we don't give them that warning, it might lead to some challenging behavior. But if we can just tell them 5 more minutes to play and then it's dinner time and set the timer, they'll be much more likely to follow the direction we have. Timers, we have in this example a sand timer, but there's so many timers available right now. I know a lot of people have phones that they use with that have timers on them. That's fine. But you could also just use a kitchen timer. There's also some great visual timers that we're going to show in the next couple of slides that you can access as well. Here we go. These are some examples of visual timers that are available on phones. And these are great because, again, they provide that visual. They show the child how time is counting down, because children don't have that concept of time. They don't understand that yet at such a young age. So anything we can do to help them understand that something that they might enjoy that's happening is coming to an end soon, it'll make for a much easier transition. Another great strategy that we want you to consider is just using the phrase first, then. And it's very simple. It's a statement that gives a simple instruction and it tells your child what they need to do first in order to get something they want to do. So we know that cleaning up might not be as exciting as going outside, but if we remind them that first we clean up, then we go outside, they're going to be more likely to follow that direction. You can see in the first picture, again, it's using some clip art, which I'm sure you can access similar pictures like this on your computer, but you could also just hand draw them like you can see in this next example. We just simply drew a picture of outside and you can see it's very, very basic using stick figures. And then snacks. So first outside, then snack. And it's, again, if you have a visual, great, but even just using that verbal direction first, and tell them what you want them to do first, and then that will help children follow directions a lot easier. So another one of our tips we wanted to review was just to be able to offer choices when you can. We know that choices are helpful for us as adults, and they're also really helpful for children. That helps them feel empowered, and they will be much more likely to follow a direction or something that they have to do that's not maybe a preferred activity for them. So you can embed choices throughout the day and some of these routines like mealtime, getting dressed, but you can also embed choice in the order of activities. Again, thinking right now about how we're all home for a lot of time, for a long time every day, all day, and how can we help them have choice in the order of the activities they can do, or even the sequence of steps for an activity. And I have an example of the order of activities coming up here in a minute. So these are just some ways that you can offer choices as simple as clothing. Do you want to wear blue shorts or gray shorts today? Again, thinking of giving them a sense of empowerment and confidence as they work through their day. Thinking of going outside and doing something active. Would you like to blow bubbles or write with sidewalk chalk? again, just giving them some choice in what they get to do. The last bullet just kind of breaks down that example I was talking about and how they can structure their day if they have some choice in it, and it really doesn't matter to you. If you see at the bottom, art, tablet, reading time, outside time, is there a way that they could have some choice in the sequence of those activities? Could they do tablet first and then maybe outside time? Or do they want to start with outside time and then come in for reading time? Just allowing them some choice and the decision making for their schedule will go a long way. We have some great resources we want to share with you. Again, these are in the live binder, but our National Center for Pyramid Model Innovations created this Tucker Turtle Takes Time to Tuck and Think at Home. The children are very familiar with Tucker Turtle at school. So this is looking at Tucker Turtle at home and really thinking about the times we're in right now. And that story is also available in Spanish. And then we also had another, the Zoo School created a wonderful scripted story about why school is closed and giving children some information in a very simplified way about why school is closed and the feelings they may have about that, and that it will happen when they go back to school again. It will happen. It's going to come, but there's going to be some time in between where they're going to be at home.